Hi everyone, my name is Robert Paulsson and I'm going to go through how to use an IBM tWAS in a Docker container on local developments, how to create your image for that. And it is quite basic to just getting started with it. It's the only thing I will cover in this video. So we're going to cover how to pull an image using Docker, creating basic configurations for WAS, work on Docker files, create and build container image, and running the container and deploy and accessing the application. So, disclaimer here, we are not going to go into the depth of either Docker or WAS in this video. I will just show the necessary steps to be able to run WebSphere Application Server inside a Docker container. So pre-requirements, you of course need a computer for this and Docker installed and a code editor or text editor, an hour of time allocated for these labs if you're gonna do the labs, and a lot of coffee or tea would be suitable. I will go for the coffee. So let's meet Mr. Wasson. He's a Java developer, and his company have decided that they are going for the cloud and also containerize the environment as well. So he needs to learn Docker and how to use WAS in a Docker container to achieve that. So to do that, in this case, we are using IBM WebSphere Applications, and that is where you're gonna end up deploying your code eventually. But to get there, you have to be able to run it on your local machine in your developer machine in a container first before you even can enter a test environment or dev environment in WebSphere Applications. And this knowledge is a must because the, the like core of the technology here is Docker container, how to set it up locally with just Docker before you enter steps like using Apsody or CodeWin or using pipelines in with Tecton or other technologies that we also have with the Cloud Packs for applications. So this will be a very basic video where we're focusing on only Docker and the image for WAS, IBM WebSphere Application Server. So let's start the lab session. So as I said previously, you need a computer. You also need the Docker installed, code editor. I use VS Code and Eclipse, but you can use any editor you like as long as you can edit the code. First lab session here. So what you need here is first of all a command shell like terminal in Mac OS, or for example you can use CMD in Windows, or PowerShell, or install Cygwin to use that. So free of choice. However, if you use Linux, just use Bash, normal shell. So, however, create an empty folder, and you will create these files or download them and put them in the folder so you have the same files as me. And this is something you can do afterwards. I will show the link to my Git where you can download it and use it. So the files I'm talking about is these files here. Docker file is like the blueprint for when we build a container, and I have an application. So the application you can also download is just like a Hello World app I made. So and install app.py is the deployment for WAS. Python script that is deploying my application. And WAS config profs is configuration items for WAS. So for you who are familiar with stage config, they have similar values inside, works in similar ways. So, and make sure you can run Docker commands. You should get this if you just type Docker with all the arguments you can pass in. So if you have that in place, you can, for example, open up the configuration files to get a better view of them, or use VI editor or whatever you like. So here's the Docker file then. So this is from, that means from where it fetches the image, and here I have like arguments about it starting, copy my file into the container or into the image we are building to build a container, and copying my props files, which is the WAS configuration. And the last argument is something that will start the script for the deployment process and setup of WAS in your container. So, and here is the deploy script. The only thing you really need to change to add your application is the path for the file and the file name here. But you can add parameters here. You can add whatever is needed. So you can add parameters under as much as you want here. And here is the props files. Here I have some JVM arguments set, and some for thread pool, just for showing how to put some kind of settings. They have no real value in this application for it. So if we go back to the terminal, we can start by pulling the image into the local repo in your local Docker repo. And this will take some time depending of bandwidth. So I will stop the video here and come back when it's... So your terminal looks similar like mine here. So what is happening here when it builds the image, it starts the application server, and you get the e-business flag as you have in the old type of setup also in your log files. So same here, no difference. So here it starts to install the application I have added, and yeah, go through, and yeah, had some exceptions in some properties I have added. Let's see what that is later. However, it's a successful build, and you have the information here. So if you do Docker images, you will get your local builds here. So here you can see Wasson, as I called it, and the tag is 0.1. So if we now want to run this container, we just write Docker run, and then we type the name of it, and which version of it. So you can have multiple with the same name with a different version tag. And oh yeah, one more important thing, we need network as well. So by adding the network, you add it with P for port. Local, then remote. So, for example, let's say we want to use port 80, pointing to the container to port 9080. And we can do it like that. And if we want, for example, 443 to be pointed to what could be 9043, I think it's VS admin console, and we have to add that. Wait, misspelling here. So Docker. So once again, this will take quite long time to start, since I mean, it's quite a big application server that will start, so of course it takes time. So once again, I will just pause the video until it has started. I saw it swipe by in the log here, started ready for e-business, I saw in the log. But after starting, it will spit out quite a lot in the log. So now I can open a web browser and go to the integrated console, deployment manager. Can take some time the first time you open the deployment manager. So I came right in because I have used the same credentials previously. So, but to get my credentials, I open up command line interface again and do a docker ps command to see which container ID your image has. And by using that, you can then let's see here. I rewrite it. So you write docker and then exec for execute, and then the container ID, and then cat and the folder called tmp, and there's a file called password, and in that file you have a password for vs admin. So this is the password, and you just copy and paste it. Every build, this password will be resetted, so remember that it's not an insecure thing or so. And you can remove it in production, but there's no access to the console external in production, so that's not something to worry about. And I guess everyone recognizes this console since most of you guys have used WAS before. So you click on your server. I added some settings. I just want to show those settings from the props files added. I added some JVM arguments. So they will be on the process management, process definition, and Java virtual machine, then custom properties. So this was the arguments I added. They have absolutely no value right now, but I added developer Wasson, dev, deployment environment, lab. So you can add whatever you need to add here. And then we have my application here. Was up, I called it. You can call it whatever you like to have in the display here, so that's fully up to you. So now we can test the application. That would be think I call it something like that. Yes. So greetings from Mr. Wasson. He have succeeded. So that's how you get to build and deploy your Docker image and run it as a container. So you can download all the files in a link I will show on the screen here after this video, where you can find all files necessary to complete what I just have shown here. Thank you.